this computer. Here we go.
I'm going to turn my camera off real quick, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Let me...
Kaz, are you still sharing the welcome screen?
Yes, you can still see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I have to tab out of it to toggle my camera on and off. So yeah, I'll leave it off until we get started and we do the spiel. And then I'll come back after I pass it over to you and I can get out of Keynote.
All right. So can I admit everyone now, or do we want to like
go for it?
Here we go. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Wow. There's like, dude, we just opened this and there's like already 31 here. Hey, what's up, Christine?
How's it going, Winston?
Good.
Hey,
How are you?
Good. How's quarantimes?
Quarantimes is, I mean, it's as good as it can be. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I mean, like the solitary part.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm like, again, I'm very grateful. Like I still have a job and I'm healthy, so
Totally.
I'm like nervous to celebrate, but I definitely am enjoying like when the weekend comes, I don't have to make plans. There's no like, obligation of like, oh my God, it's a Friday night. I don't have any plans. Like this means I have no friends. I'm horrible. It's like, it's totally fine if I have no plans now. That
totally. It's the nerdiest thing ever, but I'm like,
yeah,
I don't have to be like out there.
Yeah.
I was like, I can just stay at home and read a book.
And that's like totally socially acceptable. Like you don't have to feel bad about that.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever did.
That I have been enjoying way too much, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, dude, Matheo, we like kick this off. Really, like there's already 30 people in here.
Yeah, man. This is great.
We've 3 right now, it looks like.
We have a very special person in this chat right now. We have the New York City chapter lead.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I see you. With the way I got mine too.
Awesome.
Cheers to New York, cheers to San Francisco, and cheers to
cheers to being safe and healthy.
You can't see me, but I'm holding a beer up to you guys.
Nice.
I can see it in my third eye.
I need to go get a beer. Hold on.
And I'll say too, just because and Bay is here too. Sweet. We have multiple San Francisco chapter leads. TypeThursday chapter leads.
San Francisco.
Not San Francisco. We only have one San Francisco chapter lead, who is me, but multiple TypeThursday chapter leads.
Yeah. Hi from Madrid.
Hello.
Hey.
Is anyone else here? Is anyone else in this chat not in California?
Well, Madrid.
Madrid, yeah, Madrid, and 3 days in New York.
Cool.
Oh, look, Gabe is also here.
Hi, Gabe.
From New York.
Oh, okay. A few New York people.
Welcome, Gabe.
Nice. Just while we're talking about global TypeThursday chapters, this event is obviously San Francisco plus LA, and then Rita, can you take over here next week, or June 11th is New York City plus London?
Yeah, June 11th.
Ooh, that's good.
Special guests too, so.
When is that one?
What?
When is it?
Oh,
the New York.
June 11th.
June 11th? Okay.
Yeah, it's 1 p.m. New York, which will be what time, Elaine?
3 hours.
11.
3, like 12 p.m. I believe.
Yeah.
It's 1 p.m. here, like lunch.
Oh yeah, that'd be like
10
a.m. Yeah?
We're 3 hours.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Time has no meaning anymore.
I was like, that's a great time.
Yeah. Can you tell us anything about the special guest?
Yeah, we're actually, one of our sponsors is Type Directors Club. So we're having someone from Type Directors join for the critique session.
Nice.
And we also have Jesse Reagan from XYZ.
Cool.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And we have one presenter from New York and one from London. So
sweet.
we're looking forward to compare, visually.
Yeah. That is what is about to happen tonight with the San Francisco presenters and the LA presenters.
Yeah.
So,
Winston, what were you saying about the June event coinciding with Design Week, or do we not have a June event on the schedule yet?
We don't have a June event on the schedule. This is supposed to be a private conversation between me and you, Kaz.
It's
and
private.
a bit of a public forum here.
You're like, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everybody else, cover your ears. Go ahead. We can chat about it later.
We will know more about our June event soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we have a little prompt here for everybody. If you haven't noticed already, we have a question for everyone in the room right now. And that question is, if you were a typeface, which one would you be? So let's see. I will hand it to you, Winston. What typeface would you be, sir?
Oh, man. So much pressure.
A lot of pressure.
God, it's so nice to talk about this with like people who are other type people, because I feel like so often, like I spend so many like family conversations at my family dinner table trying to talk about typefaces, and those conversations just never work with mom and dad and my brother. So it's nice to be in a room of my people. If I was a typeface, I have to say, this is going to be a plug for a recent release that I really loved. Just recently, Klim Type Foundry, Chris Soursby in New Zealand, released this typeface called Son. It's like a German pronunciation, SOHNE. And Son, thank you, Son. And it is just like I just drool every time I see this typeface. And I think it would be me because because it's Chris Soursby and he's like a total geek. He writes these like amazing how he made the typeface, and like all the research he did and everything. And the typeface is like what is it? He says like it's called the forgotten memory of accidents grotesque. So it's something like he went, and I'm sure other people in this chat room have read this blog post, but it's something like he went to the very first specimens for accidents grotesque, which were like in 1910, 1920, way back when, and recreated that accidents grotesque from the 1910, 1915, 1920. And because the foundries were like so much more global back then, there wasn't like one accidents grotesque typeface. Like you could buy an accidents grotesque from the US type foundry and it would have a slightly different S than from the Dutch type foundry or something like that. So we went back and found all these like original type specimens actually from the Letterform archive, because all these were at the Letterform archive.
Oh, cool.
And he recreated this typeface, and he also kind of mixed it in with his memory of Helvetica from the New York City subway system. So if you go to this blog post, it talks about how like he thought Helvetica was the New York City subway system typeface, but actually Vignelli had chose accidents grotesque, and his recreation is sort of his memory of what he thought this typeface was, or what these designers wanted it to be. Clearly, I really like this typeface. I will not get a commission from it if you guys buy it. There's no affiliate link that I'm sending out. Yeah, so to make it short, just his blend of like this European typeface blend with his memory of the New York City subway system, this very like American thing, using this old school Swiss typeface called Sohm. And I'm European, but I have European roots, but I've lived my whole life here. So that whole sort of Euro-American mix, I think, is something that I really like. And this typeface does that well. That was a very long answer. Answers this.
He's like, so no one else can answer this question.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm like, clearly, I'm happy to be speaking about this with people that I'm familiar with.
It's clear.
Where in Europe are you from?
My family's all in Belgium, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
There's no
true,
good
Belgium.
typefaces from Belgium. Maybe there's a few, but not as good as Excellence for Test. But anyway, I've spoken enough. I'm going to pass the mic off to the next volunteer. Actually, Matteo, no, you got to answer this now. I'm going to point it to you. What typeface are you based on?
It's going to be way more simple than that after all that type archives that we went through, which I loved it because this is really the only audience where you could say all those things to. Our eyes perk up instead of glaze over. That was awesome, man. And I think mine just did I'm using it for my portfolio, or I'm working on like getting it integrated into like some of my design assets right now. Is Jubilet, I think that's the way to say it. It's like, I'll type it in the chat. Jubilat, and it's a slab serif. The reason I like it so much is because right now it's in trend that we're seeing people go from sans serif to serif. But now that it's been around for a year that people are like jumping the boat, I'm seeing a lot of serifs, and I'm like, well, I still want to differentiate myself and not be sans, you know? And so I'm in between slab serif, but it's also a super font. So it's or super font family. So there's like a shit ton of weights, like all the way from like, you know, really skeleton thin to like really beefy impact, and then italics and non-italics and stuff, display face versus non. So it's a flex. To me, it's like really flexible, you know, type family. I can like bust out. You can set anything in just that one face, and it's gonna look awesome because it's gonna give you a lot of different voices to use. But yeah,
that's awesome. Who's the designer? Do you know the foundry or?
I found it on, you know, the crappy me.
Where'd you find it?
But I found it on Adobe Fonts.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Jubilee. And Faraday, how about you?
Yeah.
I already responded on the chat.
Well, for those who aren't reading the chat, what was it?
Comic Sans.
Yeah.
No, Papyrus.
All right. I'm just going to say it. That deserves an explanation.
No, I'm just joking. I think I would be. I know this is kind of like cliche, but maybe Bodoni. Because that's my dog's name, actually. Bodoni.
Oh.
Yeah, but I can see your Bononi. Yeah.
Cool.
So Jubilee was by Darden Studio.
Oh, nice.
Fonts, you can get it there, and I shared the link for anyone. Faraday, awesome response. I think I've always been in love with that font because like every time I go to use just check out fonts, like my eyes always go to that one, and I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful. So yeah, it's good.
Did you see the project that they made? You can pay what you want and download all the new digitizing.
No. What?
It's really cool. I'll put the link on the chat. Let me look for it.
Please. And then I think like at the end of tonight, it would be great like if we send out like an email to everyone with like all the fonts that were referenced tonight. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Stuff. So we'll try to put that together, but we'll see. I'm trying to go through the chats and like glean. Maybe Sunil, if you're in here, welcome.
Yeah. I have a problem with my. I think I told you that this morning after a Zoom meeting, I had that blue screen of death. So I guess this is the outcome. It must have corrupted my my Zoom.
That's horrible. But on good news,
your
typeface. Which typeface would you be?
That's an interesting. Okay, so let me think about that a little bit, and I'll get back to you.
All right.
I've been trying to fix this. So
I saw Greg from New York chime in with one. You want to share, Greg? If you're.
Oh yeah. It's a bubblegum because it's like basically a balloon font, but it's like a little more quirky than a regular like bubble letter. Cause it has like some irregularities to it. Like it's a favorite of mine.
Nice.
Love it.
There's a lot of great responses in this chat, by the way. Does anyone want to chime in? He's written in the chat and kind of say why you wrote that typeface.
Well, the one that says Data 70, I just like that name in the first place. So that's like that. I don't have any clue what that looks like though.
I'm looking at these now. Stymie Hairline by Greg. Who is Enya? Is she there? I'm just reading her response on the chat, and I want to kind of call her because she had a really good.
Yes, that's me. I'm Anaya.
Oh. Sorry, I don't mean to call you out, but can you speak about your? Sorry, I know it's probably bad. This is like when the teacher's like points at one student, it's like, you answer the question. So I apologize about pointing you out here, but I really liked your response in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I don't know, like, cause lately I've been doing type in my own classes, and I kind of like the round at the end, cause like you can make it look like a water splash kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you a student?
I'm at College of the Canyons. I'm just doing the associates for now for for graphic design and web design.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Can anyone else jump in? There's like, you guys have all typed your answers in the chat, and I don't want to call people out like I just did Enya because I felt bad about it.
I think I've come up with which typeface now. I think I'll do. I would be like Times New Roman, because though I'm artistic, I'm pretty organized. I'm like the kind of the person who would do the project management. So yeah.
Nice. The just typeface, because
the just typeface. Yeah.
Courtrooms. Mandatory.
Why not Times instead of Times New Roman?
That's a bit old.
Good one.
That's yeah. So yeah, it's like a little updated.
Funny.
All right, we got to start calling people out in this, because.
So.
All right, I'd be grotesque, but it's not the regular grotesque. It's GRTSK, and it's by Black Foundry. It's a really like heavy lifting font, and it's variable. It's got megaweights and gigaweight, and then it goes into peta, zeta, tera, and it's really cool. It's also got a black back slant, but you can tailor the back slant with the variable font to be really specific to what you're using. And I just used it for a brand, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. It helps everything flow really geometrically. So it's very succinct and efficient, and I feel like that's how I'm feeling right now. But I really want to be a Dido.
Oh.
Like I always want to be a Dido, and I'm always trying to push Dido in everything I do. It's just not me. I'm like this. So I lust after Dido, so that voyage would.
So Gloria said that she would be Gloria. That's the typeface that she would be.
Welcome, Gloria.
Gloria, yeah.
No. I did not.
I like that answer, Christine, of like, you have the typeface that you are, but then you also have the typeface that you want to be.
Yeah. That's real life.
Yeah, that is life 101. Yeah.
Oh, Gabe just said he would be Stymie.
Stymie?
Gabe, where are you?
Oh, this is a great question. The better question would be, what font would you want to be? So this is the font that you are. What font would you want to be? That's from Eric.
Although we accept just who people are. It's not about
come as you are.
Whoever they are.
Comics fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strive to be a Dido in a world full of Comic Sans.
Yeah. You are a Comic Sans. We are happy to welcome you into the Zoom room.
I wonder if you'll be interested to see something I found on the internet from Taiwan, some type works.
Oh, right. It might be hard to wait. Do you want to share your screen or?
If that's not easy, I have prepared a PDF that I can just give the link to Cas on Dropbox. That'll be easiest. I just send him a message.
For sure.
It's just something interesting thing. One of them is using water droplets to be part of the font's design. Another one is like using the shape of a rice grain to do that. Let me just get the Dropbox.
Roy, if it's you said this is something on Dropbox, can you just post a link to it in the chat?
Yeah. I can just for everyone. Okay.
Sweet.
All right, everyone, hack Roy's Dropbox.
Yeah.
Brute force attack.
So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first one is like you can see on the third image is like you can see the artist like dropping the water droplet to be part of it, and the writing is like a Buddhist sutra writings. And then the second one is less about the typeface, but it's about using chocolate bar as a medium to deliver the idea of global warming. So you can see the milk chocolate is like like with some cars kind of half submerged into the bar.
Very cool.
And the third one is you can see the form of the rice on the second last image, and then it's the Formosa rice grain, and then they use that as shape elements for the typeface. And you can see on the third last image, the lighter weight, they call it the uncooked rice, and the bold, like heavier weight is called the cooked rice.
Wow.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, this is badass.
This is amazing.
Roy, I'm going to call you out here for something you wrote in the chat. Why do you feel like Bell Gothic right now?
I feel a bit quirky, but if you know about why Bell Gothic being Bell Gothic, because all these little corners in the inside corners, they make it a bit deeper so that it will be printed easier on those like really crossly made paper, right? To trap the ink, right? So I feel like I'm quirky, but for a reason.
Nice. Quirky, but for a reason. That's a good answer.
Yeah, those works I found is from a graduation exhibition in Taiwan.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Is Maxwell Fong still here? I'm just gonna call people out because I really want to hear people.
Hi.
Maxwell, tell me about why you have a short. You're not. Are you? I'm just gonna say this. I probably shouldn't ask, but are you short? Because you said in your chat you have a short X height. Oh, that's not that short. What do you mean you have a short X height?
I'm like short compared to like the rest of the people like that I know.
Okay, well, you know.
Well, do you want to know what my cap height is? This is my cap height.
There you go.
That's so good.
I'm so glad I called you out because now we all get to hear that.
I said I would be circular because I'm like straightforward and I don't like to be square and I have a small X height.
Wait, I find this really fascinating actually. So if we're going to map the geometry of a glyph to a human being, what exactly would be the ascender height versus the X height versus like I guess X height would probably be what, top of the head, and if you held your arm all the way up, that's the ascender. But then what is the descender? Is that like your foot? If so, where's the baseline? Maybe we shouldn't get too far into this because it's going to get weird. But I don't know. You've opened up an interesting thread here, Maxwell.
Maybe like baseline is standing, and then descender line is you like if you have your like I don't know feet pointed or something. Maybe just imagine like
the height of your heels.
Yes.
The baseline is like your bare foot, and then like your descender is like you with shoes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. I mean,
what if you sit on a chair? Then the baseline would be your feet, and then like your half body would be like the X height, and your head and your arms.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like the torso is the X height, and the arms and the head are the ascenders, and the legs are the
hair.
Descenders? No.
Your hat. What about your clothes?
Wow.
Maybe the clothes is like the contrast or something, you know?
Like you can bend them and everything. So
They're accents.
But I agree with the feet, but you have to be caps for that to work, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom of your feet is the best baseline. You have to be all caps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because then what's the descender?
Yeah.
What about Jay's?
No. How would that work if the baseline is the bottom of your foot?
Yeah.
This is exactly the type of conversation I would hope we would be having.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing our co-hosted San Francisco plus LA.
Somebody says that maybe he has a tail.
Oh.
You never know.
Whoa. We opened a type paradox here.
Yeah, we really did.
We fell very deeply in.
This could not happen at the in-person events. This is only an online only conversation.
Well, it could.
It could. It's true.
Well, before we get started, I want to see if Milka, because I know Milka followed up with Jubilee, or Gloria, if either of you wanted to share which typeface you would be.
Okay, Matteo. This is, considering how often, hello everyone, first of all, those of you I don't know.
Hello.
Who don't know me. Matteo, you should know this. You've been to the HMCT and Archetype Press many times. Maxwell will know this. If I were a typeface, okay, I would have to be the original cut of Sebon.
Oh.
Yeah, Maxwell, of course. Now he realizes, so does Matteo. I don't know. I love all typefaces, except for maybe Comic Sans.
Hey.
Although I do have a great cookbook that I've been cooking with, and I realized it didn't hit me until someone looked at it and said, you know, the cookbook was done in hobo.
Oh.
So, but that's about it. I mean, I love all typefaces. I think even some contemporary typefaces, I encourage everyone to look at Pentagram's new project that they did with the Analytics Lab at Facebook. I wish I had the link if I can find it, I'll share it with everyone. Beautiful typeface that was done for it. Very unusual. They combined photography with analog and just designing their AR environmental design graphics, and they posted all of these beautiful environmental posters and graphics, and I love the typeface. It's really very appropriate for AR or VR. There's a kind of like disruptiveness to the font, so I think it's very appropriate. So to me, as long as it has letters, I'm usually very happy. That's it.
Homework. Go look at Pentagram's project with Facebook. Thank you, Gloria.
Now I'll get the link for you. I'll find it.
Yeah, please do.
Everyone, and I probably have to get going.
Oh.
Hi everyone. This is Milka. Thank you, Matheo, for inviting me. And to add to what Gloria said, who's the queen of type and letterpress, I also. It's like asking a parent, which one is your favorite children? All the typefaces, it all depends. Where you're going, what party you're going to, who's visiting you. I very much believe in form following function. Therefore, depending on what the intent is, that's how I choose my font. Otherwise, they're all my favorites.
I love that. That's great. That's
nice.
Now, before Gloria has to jump off, I would love to give you a shout out. Gloria is our wonderful global sponsor at HMCT. She is the director of HMCT. And she has, yes, round of applause for Gloria.
Yeah.
Yay.
We love you so much, Gloria. Your support is amazing in keeping us doing all these things that we're doing. So thank you for stopping by and taking time.
It's my pleasure, and I don't understand. We always have Type Thursday with a beverage.
Cheers to that.
I toast all the typography. And if I once attended a lecture by Herman Zoff. I happened to be I think I was a graduate student, and so he was still very active, and someone asked him after the lecture what his favorite typeface was. Now, think about this, right? And you're waiting for him to, you know, say something, oh, okay. And you know what his favorite, he said the same thing. It would be like asking him to choose amongst his favorite daughters. So guess what Herman Zoff's favorite typeface was that he designed? Optima.
Oh.
And I know we're all going, what?
I did not expect that.
So that's an interesting little fun fact about a type designer and what we like and what the type designer really likes.
Yeah.
So
did you say why Optima? Was there some reason? Or?
You know, he didn't say why again, he said it would be almost like trying to tell which daughter he liked best. But he just said of all his typefaces, he loved Optima.
He was trolling.
What?
He was trolling. He said that.
I don't think so. I don't think Herman Zoff.
If Optima was his favorite, then why make Optima Nova?
Well, he didn't do Optima Nova. Don't forget,
No?
he was, I don't think he did Optima Nova. I think he might have, didn't he die before it was designed?
Really?
I don't know, but Herman Zoff was very much about making sure no matter what technology was around that his typefaces were cut correctly. The other person who was like that was, yeah, it was him. He really participated in all the redesign of his fonts, and he actually did a lot of it for nothing. So when you look at his Palatino, he followed it from letterpress to linotype to initial use on the computer to contemporary. He was very concerned that the technology would not ruin the design of his typeface. So, you know, maybe he did work on Optima Nova. I should look that up.
Yeah, I think I read that at the Balance Center on one of his monograph.
Yeah, he probably did because he was obsessed.
At least consulted.
His typeface wasn't destroyed by technology. So thank you. You're right. He probably did have something to do with the Optima Nova. But anyway, I just sent everyone the link to the pentagram to take a look at the project. Yeah. It was just quite beautiful. And I want to say thank you to everyone for continuing your Type Thursdays. San Francisco, nice to see everyone. Nice to see Matheo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Maxwell, of course. He's one of my favorite TAs. So I have to do a call out to him and Milka and Eric. So thank everyone for still keeping it going. And I'll see everyone maybe at Type Thursday London.
Ooh.
Hey.
June 11th, right?
Yeah, June 11th.
But I just wanted to say before then, just one more thing before I leave. We're starting a whole summer salon series, a webinar, and our first salon is going to be next Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And Sean Adams and I are having an interview and a presentation with Marian Banshees.
Wow. Yeah.
So you're all invited.
Amazing.
Wow.
Where do I get the link to send it out?
It'll come across our Instagram and the information of how to, register and things like that. So you'll love it.
Okay.
Can we have that on AIJ website as well?
If you'd like to advertise it, you can advertise it. I'll have Clifford, my coordinator, do the information.
Okay.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Gloria.
We have 17 lecture series, 17 designers talking about different aspects of design and type. And I think you're going to love some of them. And since we're doing it as a webinar, we can have 1,000, 5,000 people. So.
Wow.
Gloria, what's it called again, please?
One is called a Summer Salon series, and the other one is called London Calling. Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
And how where are they going to get the link again? Someone was asking about it in the chat.
We put it on HMCT Art Center or Instagram.
Okay.
I'm going to drop a link to the HMC Instagram right now in the chat. So you guys
something like that. Okay.
Follow.
Thank you.
Go follow HMCT. Gloria, thank you so much. We are so excited for you in the lecture series. Wisdom. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Okie dokie. So it is 7:06. I think at this time we are going to get rolling into our announcements and then jump into our type crit session so we don't fall too far behind. Cass, do you want to take it away?
Yes. Hello, everybody. And from the south and from the north of California for coming together in this very first co-production of Type Thursday, 2 chapters united on one night, San Francisco and Los Angeles, together at last, like the great state of California. Welcome, everybody, to Type Thursday. I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. James Butler, our previous chapter lead, for making our welcome sign this month. Very cool. Kind of inspired the design of the rest of this deck. But yes, this is an exciting event. We tried this online for the first time last month and it went really well. Excited that so many people showed up and joined us. So we did it again and we got LA involved. And this is particularly special because for the very first time, we are bringing San Francisco and Los Angeles together into a perfect, glorious, beautiful ligature of California. So give it up to the great golden state of California for being together on Type Thursday, one night only. Now I'm going to, you all know me, Casimir Fornalski. Actually, some of you don't know me. Those of you from Los Angeles may have never heard of me. Hi, I'm Kaz. I'm the dialogue lead for Type Thursday San Francisco. Before we get into the critique a little bit later on, I'm going to kick it over to my dear lifelong friend who I only met this week, Mr. Matheo Cadena, chapter lead of Type Thursday LA, to kind of get things rolling. So take it, Matheo.
Hey, everybody. I'm Matheo Cadena. I am your Type Thursday LA chapter lead. I just want to give a round of applause to Kaz for that awesome intro, that amazing ligature, beautiful animation as well. Yes, so cool. Loved it. And let's see. So I'm going to be sharing, I think, my screen possibly, if I can find my slides. Someone, let's see here, if I can But that, I did not expect our little preamble casual conversations to evolve into a type paradox and then Gloria's type wisdom. So I just want to thank you all for being here and making awesome conversations like this happen, because without Type Thursday, I don't think we would get to geek out like this and have these awesome conversations that are solely focused on typography. Because as you know, it's not, a lot of people get glazed over in the eyes when you start talking X height, cap height, baseline, ligatures, glyphs, and all the goodness between. But yeah, here we don't do that. We love it. So you can talk all those things to us and more. And Type Thursday is basically a monthly meetup for people who love letter forms. I think I can share my screen now. Let me see. All right, can everyone see my screen? Get a head nod?
Yes.
Cool. And I just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors as well for coming together to back us to help make sure that Type Thursday can happen every month. It's a global organization, so we're all over. We have our Madrid chapter lead, Bay Canoe. Hey.
Woo!
We
Hi.
have Faraday from New York. Hey, hey. And we have, who else? Winston from San Francisco in here. Those are our chapter leads from around the world. If there's another one in here from around the world, feel free to chime in.
Oh, there's Gabe from my team in New York.
Heyo.
Hey. In Madrid, it's a little bit late, so yeah.
AIGA has so graciously handed us their Zoom account. So I want to give a big thank you to AIGA LA for bringing us all together on this platform. This is their premium account. They have shared it with us, and as well as they do all kinds of great things with the creative community. So keep an eye out on AIGALA.org for all their events. And General Assembly, normally they host us at their space in downtown LA, but unfortunately, due to times, we're not there. But they're an awesome place to go learn things like UX boot camps, coding boot camps, from everything from Python to HTML, CSS, all the way to like front end, back end. They got all kinds of things. So General Assembly, you can check them out on their website as well. And yeah, so that's it for thank yous. And then Alexi, who is our former chapter lead of TypeThursday LA, he started this initiative called Character Building. You can design a character, a glyph for yourself to express your personality and submit it. We're going to take all those and create a typeface out of it. So if you're interested in character building, then reach out to myself or follow TypeThursday LA on Instagram and DM us, and you can get signed up. We have some awesome submissions there. We have 8 left in the character building set, so those are the letters that are remaining, but you can always reach out to ask again. And this is our awesome TypeThursday LA team. There are a few of us who are in the room. Eric, I know you're on. Hey, hey, shout out, buddy. Laura, we got Kelly Cousins, Julie, Patrick, all these people, Alexi, myself, Sunil, our welcome is here as well, and even more amazing people on our team. And then dates to come. So we're planning on June 11th, but as being a Zoom, and July as being a Zoom. Can't really predict that far right now because of the state of the world, as we know. But we will try to continue to bring this to you on Zoom for as long as we have to, so we can keep uniting our communities, which has been a blessing because we've got people from all over the world here tonight. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Kaz. And I think actually our first presenter, Kaz, right? Mr.
Yes.
Sean Croquette, hopefully I'm not butchering your name, Sean. Are you in here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey, there you are.
Hey.
Awesome, Kaz. How you doing?
Doing good.
Sean, you want to share your screen? Do you have your deck ready?
Yes, I can start sharing.
All right, cool.
Great. Thanks everyone for letting me share this project I've been working on. I've been designing for about 15 years or so, but mostly as a product designer in tech here in San Francisco. Most recently, actually, funny enough, at Facebook, doing stuff for AR and VR there. But I took a type class with what used to be the Type at Cooper West program out in San Francisco and is now run by the Letterform Archive. And this was the project I worked on for 8 weeks. So it was a way of kind of getting back to my roots in graphic design and being able to experiment with letter design for the very first time, actually. And it was a really great experience. I pair typefaces all the time in the kind of course of branding and other things that I do, but had never actually had to draw these letters before. And so it was surprisingly mind expanding and really cool. So I'll go through the project really fast here. I don't think I'll even need the full 10 minutes, but we can save that extra time for critique, since I know that this being my first typeface, there's probably lots to continue working on. So the story of this typeface, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I had not been there in 15 years until last year. My grandfather passed away and I had to go back to my hometown. It was a really surreal experience. It's this tiny town on the border of Pennsylvania, and it's basically like a mini Detroit. And so for the last 50 years, it's been in decline since the steel factories closed. But in the last 20, they've really started to deconstruct the city. So I wanted to do, when I went to go visit, I was driving around trying to find old homes, and it would just be like driving through a street, and then there'd just be fields. And then the street would start again, and the places you remembered were there again, and then it would just disappear again into like this fog. And so I wanted to capture that, like, that kind of real surreal feeling of like odd gaps, weird corners, like that kind of feeling inside of a typeface. And so I named this one Youngstown. I'll take you through a little bit of what it looks like here. So some old photos of this kind of industrial era. And a little write-up, I guess I could have told that story here. A little write-up of kind of like the background of what I was thinking here. And so you can see some of these older signs, this like really condensed sans serif that I wanted to start with, and kept building on that. And so in these letter forms, like looking for these like kind of deliberately awkward junctures to kind of play on. I still wanted it to be a very legible typeface though, so I found myself kind of dancing back and forth between like quirkiness and then dialing it back to make sure it was still pretty legible. Definitely still much more of a display. I think even the oddness that I kept is pretty distinct. And here's some lowercase. Got a little bit of some numbers out there. And then here's a lot of the letter pairings we did for spacing and whatnot, which probably are too hard to see on Zoom, to be honest. So here's the full character set along with a couple of different sizes. And again, some detail shots of some of the forms. Youngstown Tune-Up was the name for a car bomb in the 1970s. There was a huge mafia presence in this town, and as it was falling apart, just to make things even worse, there was a huge like organized crime problem. So many car bombings were happening to people, they called it the Youngstown Tune-Up. So this tiny little town you've never heard of actually had quite a lot of drama going on. Happy to go back to any of those slides there. Dig in a little
Thank
deeper.
you. Very cool. Great work, Sean. In your notes, in your submission, you said you were looking for maybe some advice on the contrast in the font. You want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, so I think where I started with this was like really experimental forms, and then I just kept making it more and more conservative. I think I'm still trying to figure out, like, have I made this too, and maybe I should zoom a little bit here so you can see this a little better, but you know, have I gone a little too, oops, sorry about that, change the page altogether. Have I become a little too safe in the way that I've drawn some of these forms, in a sense that they're quite geometric and rigid, and so I don't know, a part of me, like, as I continue, I haven't looked at this in actually a month, so it's funny to look at it again right now, but part of me was just feeling like, does this need more organicness to it? Does this need to maybe not be quite so rigid? All my curves are quite boxy and they're consistent, but I feel like they're almost a little plain.
Okay, plain in terms of, are you trying to capture, because what you have going on is an interesting dynamic between the curvature, which is a little bit, and I don't mean this term disparaging, but predictable. You're using the same radius, like it looks like pretty consistently throughout every single letter. It's really where you get into these hard angles, like these very sharp cuts, especially with like the capital T. Yep. And just looking at the comparison between capital M and capital N, you're not using the exact same kind of like chisel, you know, on the ends of both of those letters. So you have some variation going there, which I think speaks to kind of the character you want to embody within your letters. And yet your radii, is that the correct plural of radius? Radii are all kind of uniform throughout. So if that was your intention, then I'd say you were successful at that. But if you're still looking for another way to cause unease, and I'll back up for a second and say that this is a font that makes me very, very uneasy in the best possible way. It's, you know, it's hitting all of the kind of mid 90s Wax Trax industrial album buttons for me in terms of that type of typography. I don't know if you're familiar with that scene, but it has that very, like, you know, industrial metallic quality, bordering illegible, but I can still read it clearly if I take the time to look at it. And like you said, you would use this as a display face for headlines or something like that. But getting back to what you were commenting on in your use of curvature, and also in your notes, I remember you talked about wanting, or even just wondering if it's worth it to introduce, in your words, a more organic curvature or something. Yeah, there you go, Fareed. Something a little more organic. My personal opinion of that is, I think no, but I definitely want to open it up to other opinions. Like I like what you've done here and what you've got going on. And obviously the audience will weigh in and have, you know, a little more to say about that. But I'm going to stop talking because I think, like, this is very cool. The only thing I might emphasize is that I think maybe push the unpredictability a little bit more between letters. And again, when I say that, you know, I can just see in things like with the lowercase I and the lowercase j, you don't have your tittles at the same level. Like, they're just slightly off. And I don't know if that's intentional or if that was kind of a happy accident, but either way, it's like little details like that are interesting to me. So if there's other ways to introduce that level of unpredictability, I'm not sure. I will say too, before I turn it over to the audience, I think you found an interesting way of introducing the concept of distressed without relying on kind of like grunge tropes or having the letter forms themselves broken or kind of that feeling of like being rubbed off or utilizing, you know, that very grunge typography look. So yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen something like this. Okay, so one thing we did with the critique last time is just, you know, and if someone wants to say something, feel free to speak up. But we do encourage you to use the chat to get your comments in. That way we can just kind of monitor like who's in line. Got our first chat from Matheo himself. Says the counters could use a bit more of a unique shape. Actually, Matheo, since you're here, you want to ask your question and weigh in on that?
Yes, absolutely. So Sean, first, this is great work. I love seeing this, and that like you're coming from a background where, like, I think you said this is your first typeface that you've designed.
Yeah.
So for this being your first, you did a really good job. I think that it definitely is bringing out the industrialism side of things, like that inspiration, but it could definitely be pushed even more. I love that you did make the strokes and the lines, they feel and look like they are kind of iron parts being stretched and bent and warped, and they have that kind of hard shape to them. So I think you can play with that idea even more. The R has that, I think, the most character. X has a lot of character too. The M and N, they kind of are almost disharmonious with the other things, what you're doing. When I think of metal, I think of like, I guess too, like there's the octagonal shape, right? And so like metal wrench, the edge of that or whatever, like there's always that octagon. So maybe if your counters or like the edges of your shapes had those kind of, instead of just a straight 90-degree drop, that would be interesting to see. So you could experiment with that more. But yeah, where you're going is good. The legibility part that Kaz said, it's legible at larger sizes. If this was smaller, it's going to be harder to read. And that's because you're tracking, like your white space between each of your characters is too tight that I can't disassociate the white space between a character versus a counter in a character. So even looking at A and B, that white space between them is so slim that it's like hard for my eyes to read. So you could just experiment with like, yeah, tracking and that sort, and kerning pairs and getting the letter spacing right. And then I think it's going to be legible. That seems like the easy part here. But yeah, showing the characters, that's going to be bringing more of that metal inspiration. I think that's going to be the hard part and the fun part too.
Yeah, that's great. The notches in the V is where that started, where I just kind of left them like crisscrossed. And people loved it, and so they encouraged me to keep it. But I agree. There were so many times I wanted to remove it, and then people just kept talking me into keeping it. So I actually would be curious what people think of that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Matheo. Hrant, am I pronouncing that right?
Sean.
H-R-A-N-T?
Oh, sorry.
Hrant Papazian has left. He is raising his hand in the chat to offer a critique. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I'm not a fast typist, so. Yeah, this
I
is
just
cool,
say it. Yeah.
I was gonna say I agree with Matheo that the spacing it's not more legibility. It's just I think it would be the right kind of comfortable if it's a little looser, and for something like this, it's kind of hard to decide. I think where to do it, where to make it deviate. Like the B and the R are kind of special. Does that mean everything else needs to be special? No, it can't. You know, the C and the I, some of them are. So it's a personal feeling for where you draw the line, I think. But one feature that I think is not working is the T. You can I think you can just use the same angle using for the chevron cuts on the ends. So I think that it's too steep and it's distracting for no good reason. And the F, the bar of the lowercase f, that's the only thing I would like personally be sure about changing. The rest is kind of a toss up. So.
Yeah, one thing I did notice, if you just kind of unfocus your eyes and look at like the overall color, there's something about both the upper and lowercase t. You may want to do some fine adjustments on where those points actually land, because optically, I feel like the crossbar is getting like really heavy, and it's giving they're becoming top heavy in ways that the other letters aren't.
And it's kind of out of character, I think.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Nice. Cool. Thank you, Haran. Michael McCragan says, definitely uncomfortable in a great way. Would like to see that little chisel in more of the letters, especially the S, which will be used a lot. I agree. Sadie says, this is a gorgeous type family. Lowercase doesn't have as much of the same personality as the upper. Sadie, do you want to elaborate on that a
Sure.
little?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I was just noticing that we saw a lot of the uppercase in the presentation. I missed a little bit here and there looking at the chat, so I apologize for not having as thorough concentration. But I just love, like everyone was mentioning, the details in the notches and the way that the R, and X and K, like how the bowl ends and stuff. But the lowercase, I think, is missing a little bit of those details and quirks, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot, especially on the baseline, you see, I think someone mentioned like just the V and the W preserve those notches, whereas on the, the top row, you have a little bit more of that, like jagged personality or so. Oh my gosh. Sorry, there's a ton of parrots. You can hear that. But yeah, I think that the lowercase could stand to just get some of that like loving touch that you gave to the upper.
Yeah.
Sorry for all the noise.
No, that's great. Was there any more to that?
No, I mean, I think I said what I said in the chat, and I was like, oh, surprise.
Oh, perfect. And like,
yeah, this is just beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
Beautiful depth too. I love a thorough presentation of type. It was awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to keep up with the chat here for a second. So Shessa says, Shessa, am I saying that right? Shessa G? Are you here?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Says, you agree also on the M and the N and other notch terminals. You want to see a version of this typeface without those terminals. And then an alternate or rough version of the font that's run down like the historic town you described. Talk a little bit more about your thinking there.
Sure. Yeah, so I really love the sort of quirky notches like in the B and the K, and especially in the X. And then I get a little bit thrown that some of the terminals have this notch, but others of them don't. So kind of like you were saying earlier, and I think a couple of other people have said on the chat, I kind of want to see it go one direction or the other, and maybe both. So I feel like there could be a quirkier version of this typeface where maybe there are more notches. There are more sort of quirky, sharp elements like the Y. I also agree with somebody else who said that the T was distracting. I think when I saw the name of the typeface, it felt a little bit like bat wings, or it felt a little bit Halloween-y, and I don't think that was the intention. Yeah, overall, I think it's beautiful, and I love the story behind it, and I kind of want to see maybe there's a version where it's like, this is what the town looked like in its heyday, and then there's another version that's got more quirks and cuts and angled notches that's kind of indicative of what it looks like now.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, great, thank you. Gabriel Serrano is asking, can you explain your reasoning for the angled strokes at the top of the Y? It looks like you're doing that on both the capital and the lowercase y.
Yeah, so I think that's just what started to happen over the course of some evolution. So originally the W and the V and a few others did have that. And so that might just be a leftover oversight where everything now is different than that one. I wanted to make the Ys pretty special because the name is Youngstown, and so that's probably where they're going to get used prominently. So I did want them to stand out a little bit, but the top of them might just be an oversight, actually.
Okay. I mean, does anyone have any strong opinions about that Y? Is that something you should keep, or you think you should even it out with the rest, the
Quick
X
check.
height of the rest of the letters?
Time check. 7:30. So I do want to, like, we can finish up this last thought, and then we'll roll into, I think, Rachel's next.
Yeah.
Personally, keep the Ys. Keep the Ys.
I would say flatten it or make it as exaggerated as the M and N and A combination, only because it's so subtle that it might as well be flat or go all the way.
Yeah. Looking at it, I think it just stood out to me because it was like the font already has a lot of quirks to it, and that just was kind of like one quirk over the edge. But it just made me want to kind of flatten that, or like you said, Gregory, make it something that's like really special, like the N and the N.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Sean, please go in Zoom and read the chat because we've got a lot of great comments and feedback on there, and you can see it all in writing. Definitely check in with us again and show us your progress on this as you move forward. And thank you so much for sharing. It's really awesome work.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So up next, who did you say was up next, Matteo? Is that going to be Rachel or?
Yes.
Rachel. Rachel, are you here?
Hi, I am here.
Hello. How are you
Hey,
doing?
everybody. All right.
Thank you so much for sharing. And you are in LA, right?
I am. My name is Rachel Colon. I'm a graphic designer in Los Angeles. I'm really happy to be here. And let me go ahead and attempt to share my screen.
I am so excited for Rachel to share. I saw her project on Instagram. She was posting for Earth Day, and I just want to give a shout out to any designers who do like post for Earth well-being or any kind of social activism. I love it. Rachel, your work, I'm excited for you to show it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, that was very nerve-wracking.
No worries. Also, I'm gonna mute all option. Where did that go?
All right, I am, here we go. Yes, yes. All right, so I wanted to create something for Earth Day. I've been out of work, really been wanting to challenge myself as a designer to just stay on top, stay in the game, stay on top of my design game. And so I created this, procrastinated and created the night before the official, Earth Day. So yeah, what inspired me was just really, I created an infographic, and I'd done some research, really hadn't seen a whole lot of infographics out there that wasn't super overwhelming as far as like the information that you were getting. I mean, this topic is, the actual theme of Earth Day this year was climate action. And so it seemed like a really good idea to create this infographic to like just combine all these different important topics and give information on what we can all do as a whole to help with climate action and climate change. So yeah, my challenge was to tackle this topic, and my target audience is around 20 to 35 years of age, gender, and ethnically inclusive, because I did create this for social media. So it was specifically directed to be a social media campaign. So a little bit of inspiration here, mood board. I stuck with an analogous color palette, definitely looked to the Earth Day website for some color inspiration and keeping on brand with the colors that they already had. Here is an example of infographic that I had found that just kind of seemed a little like it needed a little more life to it. And then a color palette that I wound up choosing. And so this is one of the first of the infographics that I created, and I want to keep the design really simple, straightforward, to the point, definitely have an expression of color, typography, and super simple graphics. And I will just go on through here. So that is the next slide. Originally, I had in mind to design 3, just to like keep it simple, get it done, have something to submit for the following day. But then I realized if I added a 4th letter, I could spell out tree, which seemed kind of cute for for Earth Day. And what really kind of stood out to me as far as the, I'll just kind of flip back here, the overall design and composition was, it was very reminiscent of like the alphabet and grade school, and how, you know, we had those alphabet, some of us had those alphabet signage, and sort of tied into that kind of educational aspect that this is supposed to be for. So the main type, so the large caps and the header and subheader are all in a typeface called Schrickend. And the body copy is Hero New. And the word mark, Earth Day, is Hero New Ultralight. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. And I guess as far as questions that I might have, like, did I solve the problem? Is this something that is fun and informative and, you know, gets the information delivered as far as climate action is concerned? And also, what would be a next step as far as presenting this to the world? Like, would it be good to, like, a different platform, like a brochure or a mailer or a GIF? Some, you know, what would that be like? And then who would be good to pitch this project to, if anybody has any ideas about that? And that's my presentation.
All right, very cool. Thank you very much. Can you go back a few frames?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just stop on this one. So one thing I just want to point out, or it's really just more of a question about what I noticed is some very subtle inconsistencies in how you're treating some elements on here. And the first thing that stood out for me, like it's really cool work. It's very eye-catching. I love the choices of typefaces that you have in here. And can you remind us again, what is the fat face that you're using? That's all.
Fat face is Schrickend.
Schrickend. Okay.
Yes.
Heard of that one.
I tried to go back and find out where I got that typeface from, and I couldn't. I'm sure if we Google it, we can find it.
All right. Well, if I were a typeface, I would be Schrickend. So one thing that I did notice, or I just had a question, if there's kind of a thinking or method behind it. So in your big capital letters, I like this offset you have where you have the stroke and the fill kind of slightly off registration. Now in the bicycle graphic, because I notice you consistently use an icon down in the lower right corner of each of these frames, but you're using kind of a more standard drop shadow on there, as opposed to kind of echoing the graphic language of your very hard, you know, solid offset with the big capital letters. And that was just like a kind of minor visual inconsistency that I noticed. So I just wanted to ask you, was there an intention behind the usage there, or kind of like what was the that?
I think I wanted to make sure that graphic was included of the different icons, and to have those elements stand out. I'm not sure if it sounds like it may or may not be distracting, or if it's just an observation, but I guess, yeah, I just wanted it to have presence as well, but it can definitely be dropped. I recall, like, when I didn't have it, it just seemed sort of like, you know.
Okay. No, I mean, I would just suggest or recommend maybe try and find a way to even reduce like the techniques you're using here, and really play into that nice contrast you have between this really fat face, and you blow it up with these giant letters, and so that the letters themselves become a graphic and they occupy a lot of visual weight. And then you're using this very light, very thin body text on here. So you have this nice contrast between really fat and really thin, but both of them are solid. There's nowhere else on the page where you're doing anything that gets into kind of like gradations or like transparencies or subtleties. So if you could find a way to just keep like contrast between fat and thin, even in your use in graphics, I think it might unify with how you're treating the type a little bit more. And then just one thing I'll say about like how you're treating the text blocks, I'd recommend maybe kind of massaging like the line length so that you don't end up with like the words "for it" on their own at the end of the line, because that kind of ends, you know, it's a little bit short. Like gas and motor, and just kind of like Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen, but you can't see where my hand's actually pointing, I realized. But yeah, just kind of like trying to balance out the right rag on the text blocks a little bit more, and little fine details like that. But that's all I'm going to say about it. Definitely want to open it up to the crowd here. Matteo, you seem to be a pretty big fan of this. So yeah, did you have a comment about this?
Sure thing. Thanks, Cass. Rachel, I totally agree with Cass on reducing the elements, the visual elements, so there's less like, happening, because then it's going to drive home like your aesthetic even more. The thing that's working the most is that like contrastiness and the like massive letter T and then that beautiful offset. So that might not work for the thinner stroked things like Earth Day. Like it definitely doesn't work the same way, but it totally works for that T, and it like draws me right in, and I love it. It could also serve as like a drop cap. So maybe even the T in transportation gets dropped. So you have T, so then you have transportation, but it will read as transportation because they sit side by side and they're at that heading level. So their hierarchy's there, maybe even aligning it with the cap height or something, or experimenting with that a bit. I agree with Cass, drop the drop shadow on the bicycle. Yeah. Because it's really the only non-textual element in this design. It does stand out, even without the drop shadow. And this design feels like it's flat design inspired, so keep it all flat all the way through, and I think that's gonna help it pull together and have harmony. You could experiment with changing the size of the bicycle. So in the areas where you have the dark blue text, if the bicycle was in the background because it was scaled up and took up more space and the blue text hits over it, it'll read because you have contrast. So that could be a way, or even just leaving it as is and without that drop shadow. I think that's gonna definitely help it pop too. It's as the non-textual element, it definitely stands out. And yeah, that's it from me. And I saw some great feedback in the chat. I saw Eric raise his hand very early on, Eric Burning. So Kaz, I'll give it up to you to delegate. And Kaz, I'll also be calling you out to say, hey, here's who I see, to help you keep up on the chat.
Yes. Rachel, is there any way you can show all the slides to us at the same time? Would that be a possibility so we can help you better? Or could you do us a quick little review of the, okay, great. Thank you. May I jump in? I don't know who's going to go next.
Yes.
Who's going next?
Milka, I'll remember, but Eric Burning had his hand raised for crit, so I want to call on him first to let him get a comment.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. I think that you have too much contrast between your fat letter and your thin letter. My main question, though, is whether or not this is a part of a series. You extended it into another letter for the sake of it spelling out a word. There's a lot of things that you can do these days where you can kind of culminate your posts. If this is an Instagram feed or something like that, you can tile your work so that in a feed, if I click on your social feed, I should be able to see all of your posts all together. And if these are all posted simultaneously, I should be able to somehow find this puzzle, that all these puzzle pieces come together. I think that if that were the case, you could make this a holistic sort of like experience and start to think about those letter forms not inside their own contained space, but way outside. And I can even see that you want to push the boundaries there with that the curved baseline on the type there on the lower left-hand corner. I could see that as being sort of something that curls all the way around on your feed, if it was an Instagram feed or a Facebook feed or something like that. And I could see these letter forms breaking the side of your composition here. They just look like they're tucked in the corner and that they've been relegated, they've been pushed out of the way, and you're talking way more about an expansive topic here. It's way bigger than anything that we can see, and your typography should reflect that. So don't let any of the conformity of the letter forms or the letter blocks keep you from expressing yourself. It seems like you want to express yourself here, and ultimately, I think the type can do that. The illustrations, I'm not really feeling as they're adding so much as the typography. So you know, it's probably the audience you're speaking to, that I want type to be the feature and not necessarily the secondary player. I don't know if you necessarily need anything else here to let us understand what you're trying to get at. But you know, in that space might give you the opportunity to make some of the type even bigger, or make that contrast just right. So I would continue to work with balance, and I would push the boundaries quite literally on this project, and see what you can do in a social setting where you can potentially tile these and make one great big composition that we get to discover through a series of posts.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to call on Maxwell, and then Alex Bloom, and then Rachel Elnar, and then Milka, if you want to get your comment in real quick, but then I think we're going to move on to Yuen after that.
Sure. Anytime. I'm open.
Awesome. Thanks.
So hi. I kind of forgot what I already wrote. Yeah, about designing for social media is something that's very new and challenging, and I've seen these posts around with these people, like Patty Gonia is like one that does like these kind of, you can't put it, I don't think you can see with the green screen, but I might need to turn that off real quick. But like, yeah, definitely consider the layout and like the sequencing of social media. I did a Instagram post once, and because you now have that feature of like having multiple pictures in one post, you basically have the sequencing. So think it in terms of like a book, you know, you have a title slide and then you have these like detail slides. So you don't need to like, and to refer to the earlier critiques, is that you don't need to cram everything in one post in that sort of matter. You can have like a picture that's more graphic focused and like more small, like more bigger and like more decorative type. And then later on, when you introduce the information, then it can get a little bit more quiet and that sort of stuff. I'm gonna turn off, yep, there we go. Like you have like these like very informative posts of like being at the outdoors and how to be an ally. It's like very plain, but there's like an opportunity out there. This is more in response to like who you can show this to.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of influencers out there who are like kind of making these guides now in response to like, to educate like public about like social issues and things like that. So I don't know if they are paying people, but like, for example, like these kind of guides, like they're really text heavy and they can definitely use some work. And so like, if you're willing to work for these people, you might be able to open some doors that way as well. I can definitely include those links in the chat, but I know it's not like a very type-based critique, but I hope that it helps with like the design choices you're going to make in regards to the type in that sort of sense.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maxwell. Alex Bloom, did you want to elaborate on your comment?
Sure. So I think my feedback kind of echoes what a lot of other people have said, but you know, I know you had sort of mentioned you're sort of exploring this like visually, but then kind of thinking about what format would be appropriate. I think it might really help you to sort of have some of those constraints up front in this process and design and present your work in the given context of the final output. Because like I'm looking at this on my own laptop and it's like maybe like 4 times the size that I might experience this on Instagram, like in like the final post format. And if you were to sort of present it and like critique it for yourself, even just like when you're trying to look at it and evaluate your design decisions in the given size or the final output size, it might be a little bit easier for you to evaluate that design. And the same thing, like think about all of the context of like, is somebody experiencing this while scrolling through other things? Like, do you design posts that are deeper in depth or like scroll differently and provide more rich info when you go like a couple posts down into like a swipe or something? So anyway, all of those considerations, but also at a point around just your text size, like 50 years of Earth Day in that particular typeface, I think is going to be pretty hard to read when it gets down to a smaller scale. And then also the color contrast right now between this kind of light green, it's maybe less of an issue on this post where it's over top of this darker blue, but I would use a contrast tool like Stark for Figma, or like it's like has a sketch plugin too. There's plenty of them out there. There's free ones. But just check to make sure that I know one of your criteria was to make this like really inclusive. And I think making sure that your contrast is enough and important information that they can read it. And I think the yellow on the green is actually not going to be legible on like one or two of the, if you could toggle, I don't know if you can toggle between like the prior or next post, but yeah, this one, like I have a lot of doubts that like anybody who has either color blindness or even like minor eyesight issues might be able to read like the bbc.com source. And that's like helpful information that I think you want people to be exposed to.
Okay. Yeah, very great points. Thanks, Alex. Rachel Elnar, you had some really interesting things to say about the use of margins on here and some advice on that. Do you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. I think that there needs to be some sort of consistency and harmony. I think that overall you're looking for harmony, and that's done with some relative proportions. So the margins are not equal on all sides. I mean, there could be some sort of relationship between the alleys versus the margins, and then the space between paragraphs as well. Type speaking, I think that it's very heavy in the top left and very light in the lower right-hand corner, maybe some sort of relationship between the typefaces themselves. You have a geometric for most of your body and very fat typeface for your headers. So some sort of relationship in terms of shape would be more harmonious.
Great, thank you. Milka, you had a comment for her?
Hi, yes, I'm gonna annotate. Is that okay? Because do you see my arrow? No?
I do not.
You do not see my arrow? Okay, let me draw something. Do you guys see it? Is it drawing? Thank you for being patient with me.
Getting handsy in there.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you see a hand?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's my hand.
Yeah, that's not my hand. Anyhow, okay. I have maybe one major tip to give you. First of all, Rachel, my admiration for you for bringing this awareness. Thank you so much. We can never get enough such awareness, and I appreciate your taking the action to do this sort of work to let everyone know how good it is to be aware of the acronym that you use, a TREE, and what they stand for. So my kudos to you for respecting the Earth Day for us. What I like to give feedback is focal point. Where's the focal point? What's the first thing we see? Is it the E? Is it the it green? Or is it the Earth Day at the bottom? Or is it the image at the bottom right? So my eye is going boom, 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 so I'm not sure where I'm going. So the question is, how do we narrow down all that information and bring one element that is the most important thing to boom, bring it to the audience attention, and then the second read, and then the third read, and then the fourth read. And as others mentioned, is that there needs to be a relationship. Everything is connected with one another. It's like having a family. And I know in LA, all of us love our bubble space. So when we're designing, there's like a big bubble space around everything. No. Treat it like as a family. The parent holding the child, having the hand of another child in their hand. So there's a connection between all the elements with one another. I hope this analogy helps you into some extent.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Milka. So Jenny F, a little bit while ago, she made a really good point. And if she's here, I would like her to weigh in on it. But because this is for social media, it's always worth considering what needs to be shown in the graphic versus what you can do in the caption that accompanies the graphic. And especially when you're dealing with the density of text and type, thinking about like, does the square, because that is the way most of these graphics are consumed now, like, is that a high level image forward composition? And can you really put a lot of this more detailed granular information in the caption that accompanies it? So Jenny, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you
Yeah,
guys.
can you you brought up this point, which I thought was really good, and it's a constant kind of struggle with stuff made for social media. I've definitely been there with clients who want to put everything in the graphic and then redundantly want to put the content of the graphic in the caption that accompanies the graphic. So it's one of those things, like, how do you balance that out? But you raised the point, so I wanted you to kind of talk a little bit more about that, and then we will move on.
Yeah, I think it's really important to make a distinction of what you think is eye-catching that can make people pause and kind of give them the opportunity to digest the message. And I think separating that with the context is really important, especially when you consider someone's experience scrolling through Instagram. They're going to be scrolling through what's going to make them stop and want to digest this information. Are they going to want to stop and read a paragraph of text on an image? I'm not sure. Most likely not. So I think like if you can like give them a pause and like highlight the most important thing, that maybe that that one sentence of like their impact, and really focusing on that and really emphasizing the amount of change that can be delivered in such a small way, I think that can really help deliver the message a little bit more, like can have a little bit more impact of delivering that message. And then you can also provide context. There's an opportunity for context in the caption and below it. It's like right below. You would never want to feature it. So like what can be the one thing that can really gravitate them, and then also provide context so that they're like, oh, then they're making the connection, where can they learn more? Even like tagging the source, like even tagging like BBC, the Instagram, then you're also like connecting to the thing. There's opportunities like wherever this is living to really utilize the tools that are available to you. So you're not just adding as much as you can. So yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing your work. Like I said before, please go back and read the chat. It is a treasure trove of really awesome comments from everybody getting into detail. Unfortunately, because this is Zoom, as soon as we close the Zoom, the chat dies. So get in there, try to capture all of those thoughts. And we look forward to seeing your work again at TypeThursday.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, so last presenter of the night is going to be Huyen. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to TypeThursday. Thank you so much for sharing your work. And if you want to go ahead and share your screen and show us what you're presenting.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me make it full screen. Okay, cool. So hi everybody, my name is Huyen Ding, pronouns, oops, let's go it by itself. Pronouns Huyen. I'm a full-time freelance lettering artist in LA, and I'm mostly known for my pastel palette, playful lettering with a touch of sarcasm. So today I want to share briefly about my body of work and then go in depth about one of my projects that I did with Facebook. So most of the time I did lettering on my iPad, but lately I got into more mural, and this is my first mural that I did for City of Glendale. It's a utility box, and I just wanted to paint something that happy, that people came by feel uplifting when they saw the message. And this is another mural I painted for, or I didn't paint this. It's actually the vinyl mural, so I designed on the computer, and they print it out and they apply on the wall. This is at Santa Monica Place Mall, and they wanted some playful mural for their food court that featuring bright color and then the LA vibe because I'm more near Santa Monica. And this is another mural project that I did for Coffee War Museum. I painted this 2 pink mural and also got a chance to make this giant coffee cup. And unfortunately, they can't open during the COVID-19. So hopefully in the future, they can open for public. And this is not a real mural, but a mock-up. So if you want to do mural and you don't have any experience, which is fine, you can just do mock-up and show the client. And beside mural, this is my digital custom lettering pieces. As you can see, I like positive quote with like a touch of humor and a lot of like pastel and bright colors. And beside digital lettering, I like to experiment with different mediums. The first one, I use red liquid lipstick to write down Namaste. And the second one, the yellow piece, that is the pineapple serum. And I actually mimic the serum by using clear glue mixed in with orange pigment. And then the third piece you see here is the pool scene that I created from cutting out from color paper and then Photoshop the lettering on top. And so that mostly my work. I want to talk more in depth about this mini mural that I did for Facebook. So the brief is they want something about women empowering because they're gonna use it for a dinner for local woman founder in LA. And they really like this art, the original art that I have, the idea of the recipe for success smoothie. So that they want me to rewrite the copy and incorporate some of the icons that represent LA. So this is what I come up with. So for this project, besides designing the piece, I could write my own copy, so that was fun. So this is my recipe for success smoothie, like with a lot of passion juice. Do not fear failure. Just go for it. A spoonful of confidence. Learn how to say no. Garnish with some patience. And of course, it's very important to have support from your community. So when I work with clients, the first thing I want to show like a very, very rough sketch, just so they know the composition, how the copy is gonna fit into the piece. And after they approve this, I go into refine sketch and then just do it in black and white. And after this, they give me their color palette, which is the navy blue and the sky blue with a pop of pink. So I did 2 color versions and they end up going with the second one. And this is me painting at my studio. I actually had to bought the canvas, painted it at my home and then delivered it to the dinner. And this is how it looked at the space. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out because the color matched with the prop and with the environment. So that's most of my work. We can connect on Instagram at Miss Winding and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
So good.
Yeah, this is fantastic, and I have to say, I really, really want a smoothie now. After watching that, yeah, just really great work. I do want to call out. I think it's really cool how not only do you show examples of your process with the mural from start to finish, but even in your photos of you making the mural, you treat it. It's not just a photo. I like all the little lines and graphics you draw on top of what's going on there. Really, really kind of cohesive for like a brand, I guess is the term for it in terms of what you're doing. I could say a lot about this, but I really want to know what the crowd like. I think it's great work, and I'm curious. Like, obviously this is a mural you've already completed. Are you looking for any particular like feedback or questions, or you just kind of want to give some insight into your process to others, you know, who are interested in hand lettering here? Mateo's waving his hand, so it looks like he's got a question. But yeah, let me just open up to the crowd.
Yeah, I should say, I had asked Miss Huyen Din to be our speaker of the month, where she would show kind of like a project that she had done, because I saw her work and it's amazing, as you can see. And I was like walking around LA and I saw a mural and I saw the handle on it that it said, and I reached out to Huyen. And so we've been trying to get Miss Huyen to speak to our audience since before this pandemic hit, but then this whole thing happened and we're like, would you still want to do it virtually? And she was so kindly obliged. So I think it is so great to see your work, Huyen, and the process behind it. This one is a little bit different because it's a finished piece, but that's like kind of the idea behind having Huyen speak, is like to see like the full process, like where these things can go. But Huyen, would you want any feedback about this or comments? Like, I think we can just open up to like letting people talk about like the work that they saw. I saw some great comments in the chat about people just like reacting to your work and your colors.
Yeah, I'm always open for feedback, and if you have any question about like lettering or like the creative process, how to work with client, or if you're interested to be a full-time freelancer, then I can help with some of the answer too.
Yeah, well, and my first question then is, as a freelance designer, where do you get the most work? Where are you finding that you're getting the most work from?
Actually, most of my clients found me on Instagram. So I just put out a lot of work consistently, like 3 times a week. Just a bunch of work that I want to be hired for. And then all of the mural requested, they found me through hashtag. So it's important to use like good hashtag for each of your posts.
Nice, yeah. That's awesome.
One thing I want to mention, this reminds me, it's a little bit similar to a presenter we had last month, Kunal. I don't know if Kunal's here tonight, but he shared his series, Letters of San Francisco, where he actually recreates close-ups of signage from San Francisco. And he does it all in Sketch, which is pretty amazing. But what I like about this, what you showed, Huyen, and because I don't live in LA, but I wonder if people in LA feel this way when looking at this, is that seeing projects like this, they're a little bit bittersweet because the design is so beautiful and the work is so good. But above all else, it just really makes me miss walking around my town and seeing things like this, you know, kind of as a surprise on a daily basis. Like seeing a utility box painted in this mural is just so cool. But I know it's a really long time until I'll see that again in person. So I get to see it as a photograph right here. But these kind of projects are, it's nice to see that there is still this, you know, like the idea of civic art is living on. And even if we can't view it in person, that people like yourself and Kunal who are making this stuff and sharing it is just really encouraging, inspiring. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so really likable work, I would say. And I wonder if it's the nature of this kind of work is more like an artist than a designer, because the person, the style of, or the personality in your case, I would say, is really consistent between different works. So it's more like an artist doing work for those things rather than a designer. We will have to think of those brand in purpose much more. I wonder if that's the case for your line of work, being like a mural painter. And then another thing I wonder is that I would think of a suggestion is like when I see the utility box, how to make use of that shape. I would say that is anything I would like to, if we have any chance like that, to explore. It's like instead of seeing 4 or 5 planes, how to work with the angles, maybe extending something from one thing to another to kind of play with that and get people to turn the corner to see other things, right? So that's anything I can see potential in, like as a opportunity.
Thank you.
Is that, so I think, Roy, it sounds like you're talking about the conflict between kind of doing a job for a client as a designer where you have to really adhere to branding and, kind of set style rules versus being able to have a little bit more freedom about it. What was this mural, or kind of like the utility projects, like for you, and did you have a lot of freedom to kind of interpret it as you want, or was the client kind of really like, pushing you to adhere to a certain style?
Most of the clients found me because they like that particular style that I'm doing. So they mostly just give me a lot of creative freedom, which I'm grateful for. Like Facebook, they gave me all full creative freedom. They just like gave me like the color palette of what I should use. And yeah, most of the project, they just give me like a general topic and then just give me a bunch of creative freedom.
Mm-hmm. It seemed to get the best results that way, right?
I guess it's just basically per brand guideline mostly.
Is there any particular, maybe it's not one that you showed, but like of the jobs that you've done, what did you find the most challenging? Or was there ever kind of an application like a mural or a utility box or a particular thing that you had to do that you felt maybe didn't work, but was more of a challenge than what you were used to?
So the utility box was the first mural that I ever painted, so I didn't really know what to expect. So I think when I first painted mural, I like spent too much time to perfect how it's supposed to look on the mural, whereas for mural, it's not supposed to be perfect, and it's never gonna look exactly the same like your sketch. It's supposed to be viewed from far away, but as an artist, you paint the mural, you like so up close and you obsessed with all that small details that nobody can see. So that's like the challenge that I have to get over, my perfectionist mind. And then for the Santa Monica Place mural, that one, they wanted some color that really bold, but most of my palette more like pastel. So it was quite difficult for me to make that switch. Yeah. But I'm glad that, because I went through 10 different color options for that one before we agreed with the final option.
Okay.
So,
what were your original options like drastically different than what you ended up with?
It's the same looking, but it's like just like really pastel color, and it's look a little bit too young. And so they want it to be playful but still appeal to like adult.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Patricia asked a little bit earlier on that note. She asked, how do you choose the color scheme? And you do have a pretty consistent use of color through all the work that you shared. So it seems like you're really drawn to those particular colors. What is it about like pastels and that kind of color scheme that resonates so much with you? Or why do you choose to work so much in that range?
I think at first I just like try different color, but the more I explore, I just feel like I draw more to like the pastel and bright color photography. So that's why I try it on my art. I end up liking it, and the more I try different color, I feel like I like pink the most. Yeah. So mostly I just use pink, and then light pink for the background and different color on top. So it's just like I just went with my gut and what colors make me feel happy. And then it's lucky that most of the clients like that kind of vibe too. So they reach out to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice departure from the grays and industrial greens of kind of civic utilitarian architecture. So very cool. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Huyen in here?
I'm also gonna say, I really love, Huyen, how you delivered the proposed sketch in black and white, even though you love color so much. I think that's really important for a lot of people to see, is that like you should always deliver the concept in black and white before you add color. You get the approval on the composition versus the color palette, because when you present with color, you may be getting feedback based off of that solely. So it's really cool to see that in your process. And a question I have is like, how do you get that dimensional quality to all of your letters? Like, you seem to have a really good job at like making these like three-dimensional looking palettes. So like, what do you use as visual inspiration to get like the perspective right?
I actually have that tutorial about 3D lettering on my blog if anyone want to check out. But mostly it's just if you take like art, like fundamental art class, then you learn how the shadow will fall, how the lighting will hit the letter. So I think I benefit a lot from that to keep my shadow consistency. And it's helpful if you choose your light source. So I chose the one that on like that shine from the left top corner. I don't know why, but I like that way. So I just keep it the same direction of dimension for all my lettering.
Okay, Sarah Wong says she has some stuff to say, and Rachel Elnar poses a very provocative question about how one chooses colors. So I want to let them get in on this before we call it a night. Sarah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So I guess what I just wanted to say is like, when I see your work, it just is so apparent that this work makes you happy, and just like the playfulness and how much fun it is. I think that really comes through and really makes me admire like what you do. And I think like there's a lot of pressure in the design world to make something that is like lasts forever and can stand the test of time. But I think also there's a lot to be said for just doing something completely contemporary and colorful and fun and something you enjoy right now. And, you know, I really appreciate this for what it is.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Rachel Elnar asks, shouldn't the color be related to the concept of the work rather than what one likes? Provocative question. So I'm gonna let you field this one, Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to expand on that?
Explain more of your question?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess my question is, are you doing design or are you doing artwork? Because it seems like it's based on your preferences, I mean, from what you've explained so far. So I just wanted to be clear.
Oh, so it's really depend on project. So if the client told me that I have all the creative freedom, then I'll just represent them the color that I like, because they already familiar with my body of work. But if they want to have, you know, different direction, like Facebook project, they already have the brand color that I need to stick with. Or like the Santa Monica place, they want to use something else, then I'll happy to like explore. But yeah, but then for personal project, like the slide that I show all my custom lettering, then I just use whatever I like because it's my personal.
Yeah, my question was just based on like form follows function, right? We choose typefaces based on the concept. We choose colors based on this concept. So I guess I have an issue with the word like, because to me that's a personal preference rather than sticking to the concept and design, which is expressing what the idea is.
Oh, okay.
I think, and you know, without getting too prescriptive about it, one of the things that social media has done so well is allowed artists to show what they are particularly good and unique at. And I've noticed that a lot of times clients choose that because they see a particular style or approach to art, and that is exactly what they want. And I think to me, it's always interesting when a client hires an artist and then, because they've seen their work, and then tells the artist to do everything opposite of what the artist has shown that they're already capable of doing. So I think it's kind of just a matter of, you know, putting out there like what your niche is and being really good at it, and just you know, having other people be able to look at that and say, you know what, I want that, and I want like exactly that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it is the difference between, you know, clients who hire because they want a problem solved or they have a brief that really has to be deep dive, versus clients who hire an artist that because they've seen other work that they've done and they kind of want, you know, their own version of exactly what that artist does in their own way. But it's a heady topic. I'm sure we could dive deep in it with a whole other night. But we do have to move on, unfortunately, tonight. And I want to give just a huge thanks to all the presenters, Huyan, Rachel, and Sean, for showing your work tonight. Just as always, just really amazing work across the board. And thank you to all of our attendees and commenters for weighing in. Again, for people who presented, please read the chat before it goes away forever, because there are some awesome comments and really good feedback in there. Okay, so getting back to Type Thursday San Francisco, our chapter lead, Winston, is still here, apparently, because he's bugging me over text.
Still here.
Hey, Winston, he has some stuff to say, and he's going to share some stuff to present.
Cool.
So we're going to critique the hell out of Winston now and everything that he says and shows, because he's put himself out there many times. No, I'm just kidding. Winston, go ahead and share your screen. And
yeah. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Cool. You are more than welcome. I'm just going to put this out there to the Zoom room. You're more than welcome to critique the layout or the typeface choice here and everything. And every critique you give to me for this presentation, my answer will just be, it's the Type Thursday brand. Just whatever you say, whatever critique you have, that's my answer. But on another note, I did want to speak about some upcoming events that I really want to highlight, because it is interesting that it's a question I'm thinking about. If lately I've realized there's actually a lot of events online, and speaking from a personal design event addict, I think there's probably even more design events to go to now during quarantine. Partially just because there's a bunch in San Francisco, and there's just so many around the world that are going on that I can hop on and join. And one of them is actually happening tomorrow. This is going to be the MFA Design grad show for California College of the Arts up here in San Francisco, my alma mater. They're having their grad show tomorrow. It is going to be at the location address of infiniteflatness.com. You can go there right now, and there's a preview of the show, but there is going to be a special opening mode of this website tomorrow at 5:30. So if you go to this website now, it's going to be different than what it is tomorrow at 5:30. I have no idea how different it'll be. I just know that MFA students are very creative. So definitely check that out tomorrow at 5:30. As we heard in the chat just before this, I had to update this deck to include all these events. But the HMCT, Hofkin, I don't want to say it because I know there's people in LA who are going to criticize me if I say it wrong.
Milken Center for Typography.
Thank you. Can you, Maxwell, can you speak to this slide really quick? Can you just say something really quick about this lecture?
Sure. So yeah, sure. So the director for HMCT Hoffman-Milken Center for Typography, which is located in the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. They are going to be hosting a summer salon series. They invite like different designers and really well-known creatives in the industry to come and give a webinar lecture. And as you can see, we have a great list of artists coming up, including Paula Scher, Jennifer Morla, Maria Banjes, who's also, I think, like teaching a certain class in Art Center in the summer term as well. Yeah, so they're gonna have that, and they also have the London Calling series that will be coming up as well, which...
Already made a slide for it.
Oh, you have a slide for it. You have more information than I do. I just get like internal emails. I was gonna read off of that, but like you have all the more updated information apparently.
No. I mean, I'm just putting this out there to tell people to go check out this website, because I think I'm gonna admit I didn't even know about the particularly summer salon design lecture series that HMCT is putting out, and this lineup is amazing. Like, I mean,
yeah,
like I said, Marion Paula Scher is speaking, Jennifer Morla, and these are all online. So us San Francisco people can still be there, both in spirit and virtually, but not physically, something like that. And yeah, as you mentioned, they've got this London calling series as well, with commercial type I saw, and Rick Poynter, who I saw lecture last year, is amazing. And for you LA people, welcoming us San Francisco people to some of your LA events. Now, as a San Francisco person, I would like to welcome some LA people to some normally only San Francisco events. And for now, I'm going to point to the Letter Form Archive, which, if you know me in person, you know that I absolutely cannot stop talking about the Letter Form Archive. It's the most amazing place on the planet. And they have an amazing lecture series that is now all online for the next month. Same as it's basically our HMCT is really what the Letter Form Archive is. And I think I can say that confidently. And what the Letter Form Archive did is just about a week ago, they launched their online archive. So basically all their old type specimens from the last 500, well, not 500 years, from the last couple hundred years are now online for people to view. Every issue of Emigre is online to view. The list goes on. And they're going to have a online archive virtual happy hour, 2 of them, where I believe the designers of the online archive, John Swade and Chris Hamamoto, are going to be walking through the archive. So that is next Tuesday and Thursday. Just go to the Letter Form Archive site. Shortly after that, they have a salon series from a very personal friend. I'm just going to make this very personal. I love Martin Vanesky. He is like my absolute idol and mentor, and I think is so brilliant. And he's giving a salon series 2 Thursdays from now, Thursday, May 28th. So please check that out. Martin is just like, he's amazing. I'm going to stop talking about him. And then there's another tour that Stephen Coles is giving Saturday after that. The list goes on and on. Just go check out the Letter Form Archive website. There's a lot of really, really amazing events that I'm just going to say it. LA people, you can go to these now. You just got to get the Zoom link, just like we can go to your events in LA now. You guys can come to our events as well. And on top of that, San Francisco Design Week is also coming up. That is also all online, just like every other event on the planet right now. Way too many events to list, obviously, but if you are looking for some cool stuff to see, June 15th to 25th. I've been to this in person many times, and they're always fantastic. And I definitely think there's going to be something not to miss for everyone, every typographic person across the internet. And now, I unfortunately have to present some bittersweet news. It is that the amazing dialogue lead that you have just spent the whole night hearing. I hope you can see his video on your computer right now of him in his room. But our amazing dialogue lead, Cass, is unfortunately leaving to start a new chapter in Philadelphia, which we obviously wish him the absolute best for. But this does mean that San Francisco is looking for a new dialogue lead. And it's not going to be me, so I don't know who else it's going to be. So if you are, this is for the San Francisco crowd out there, if you are interested in helping out as a dialogue lead, as mentioned, we do need one to start sometime this summer, hopefully in the next month or 2. Please do reach out, SF at TypeThursday, or email me or anyone else. I'm just gonna say you've got some big shoes to fill, you know, no pressure, but really, no, we really welcome you, and I know there's a few people in this chat that I actually think would be fantastic at this job.
Rachel's coming in hot with another provocative question, which is, won't it be you, Winston? Because I really think, you know,
Winston is very qualified. Winston is unbelievably qualified.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
No, I just want to elaborate on what Winston said. It's one of those things where I'll be around through the summer, and if we don't find someone, I'll probably be doing this again for at least the next couple of months. We do really encourage somebody from our audience. or someone from LA, if you want to make your way up to San Francisco since you're here, to take over as dialogue lead, because we want to hear, we want some new blood and a new voice here with Type Thursday. It has been just an absolute blast and honor being here for the last 2 years, getting to meet everybody, seeing some amazing work month after month. Kind of a bittersweet note to go out in the middle of a pandemic, but that is what it is. And yeah, I will still dial in as an attendee or stick around. But like I said, if anyone out there wants to step in and become dialogue lead, definitely hit us up. We want to hear from you. And you may be asking, well, do I need to be a genius and know everything about typography? No, you do not, because I didn't when I started. I just said, hey, I'm interested in typography and I think this would be kind of cool. Really, the only qualifications are you should be comfortable speaking in front of people, obviously, and yeah, just make the presenters feel comfortable and be like, hey, this is some cool work. Let's pick it apart and know how to manage a crowd. But yeah, it's been a blast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who takes over next.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I can say as chapter lead, I mean, thank you, Kaz. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well, I think that's all we got for tonight.
All right. Well, I just, Matheo, can you just jump back in? And I just want to say from LA to San Francisco, from San Francisco to LA, this has been awesome. I really, really enjoyed this.
Me too, man. This has been so great. And Cass, thank you so much for being an awesome dialogue lead, our honored dialogue lead of the night. You did such a great job, brother. And I hope someone here is gonna step up. Rachel is old blood. She has done this.
I've been around on the block.
I know. But you can be dialogue lead too, Rachel. I'm just gonna say.
Way too opinionated.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to share my screen one more time on the way out here, because one thing is important. Before we all part ways, just big shout out to every volunteer from LA to the Bay. From LA, Eric, Laura, Kelly, Julie, Patrick, Sarah, Alexei, Matteo, Sunil, Chrislam, Kevin, Ophelia, Isaac, Sadie, Claire, Michael, and right here in San Francisco, Michelle, Sumi, Jay, James, Winston, Lorraine, and myself, Casimir Fornalski. Thank you, everyone, for attending, even in the midst of a pandemic, online for Type Thursday. Wish you all a good night.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, guys.
All right, everybody.
Matteo, you were recording this, right? So we'll send out this recording later? Okay.
Yeah, we'll have this recording probably, I guess, up on our YouTube. And we will also send out, I'll make a Google Doc of all the links and like references shared tonight. We'll try to get that out to everyone who's been with us through, I guess, email and socials, all the good stuff.
Great.
So yeah, it's been super cool. I'm so happy everyone was like so engaged and stuff tonight. This has been great. And we have like Design Rockstar Jeff in here too. We brought out some awesome people. Rachel, thank you for joining as well. Gloria stopped by. I love seeing Gloria in here. Maxwell with all the heated comments. Plus Rachel, y'all was bringing the heat tonight. So it's been fun. This has been a great.
Yeah. And we had a very global, I mean, we had New York and Madrid in the house. And we had someone from Seattle I saw in the chat. So look at this. Coming together.
Yeah, we were all over the world today. This has been awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I figured we could do like casual hangout now. You guys want to hang till 9 or so, or we could just hop off. Either or.
Has everyone's finished their drinks yet?
I finished. I had 2. I'm like almost done.
I'm on my second one. Yeah, I'm on number 2.
Oh, you're all still here. I'm switching to vodka because it's that time of night.
Oh, it is that time of the night.
I'll have milk. I'll be on in a second.
Hey,
coffee.
Can someone tell me a little more about the HMCT?
Oh,
Please,
no.
anyone? Yeah, Maxwell, tell me.
I think
it's
Rachel
part of
also
Art Center. Is that correct?
No, it's more like a lecture series, like kind of a salon series where they invite designers to a webinar and they talk about their projects and creative things and so forth. So it's kind of different from the TypeThursday events.
I see. Is the it usually I mean, in non-pandemic times, it usually hosts like an actual event series as well too, right?
Yeah, they do. They have a space, like I said, inside of Art Center College of Design, and so but they kind of operate independently. So that's why all the events are open to public. You know, anyone can join, anyone can pop in. So I think they've hosted like TypeThursday quite a few times at the HMCT as well, right, Matheo?
Correct. Yeah, they're like our residency over there.
Yeah, it's a wonderful space. They have like archives of like different type like Swiss design posters, like or like a lot of, and they also manage the Archetype Press, which is a letterpress studio also within Art Center, and they also offer classes not only to Art Center students but also open to public as well. So you get to like have like a hands-on letterpress experience.
Wow.
Through HMCT, yeah. And Gloria's like really good at it. There's like a huge cutout of Gloria's heads like in the Archetype Press. It's
nice.
Fabulous. If you come to LA, you have to go to HMCT. It's absolutely amazing. There's always work displayed up. It's a gallery space, but for typography focused work specifically, as well as it's one of the largest archetype press, I guess, like in the US.
Oh wow.
A huge collection of just like letter sets from all throughout time, and Gloria guards them like a with her life.
I think they're also working on the archive website as well. They've been working on it like forever, but like hopefully it'll be done by this year. They'll have like they've been like posting a lot of their like stuff from the archives on their Instagram, so you can follow that. They have a newsletter that they mail out as well, so you can like keep in touch with it.
Cool. Wow, that's good to know. I will definitely, next time I'm in LA too, I want to see that place in person.
Winston. One event too that I wanted to just point out, because I want to attend this and I thought this looked cool. If you ever read brand new, you know Armin Witt is going to host this online real-time journey through my .ai files. This is being hosted by TDC.
I'm going to join you next week, actually.
It's on May 21st, and all I had to do was read the title and the name and be like, I'm signing up for that shit. He's going to talk about how he goes from taking a lot of really crappy ideas and distilling them down into something presentable to a client. So this looks fun. I'll dial in and encourage all as well.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder, Kaz. And I think even just on that note, I imagine the, oh man, if someone from New York was still here, but I think TDC, the Type Directors Club, has a lot of other really cool events in New York that are now just online, similar to that one. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on for that.
Yeah, last week we did a tour with Eric Speakerman and his letterpress studio in Berlin. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's pretty rad.
You did that online?
Yeah, that like they literally just like have a camera, just like take a tour of the studio, like his studio space, and then like, you know, like how they're making like prints of like what was it? It was like Chuck Frump, yeah. Like,
nice. Yeah.
And then their signature Dayglow red. It's a wonderful space. I was privileged to like go visit last summer. It was just like
nice.
Like it's amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Huh. Really cool. Well, just since we're on the train of cool spaces to check out, all you LA people, next time you're in San Francisco, definitely come to the Letterform Archive. That is really,
And assuming they open again, the San Francisco Center for the Book.
Yes, thank you, Cass. Yeah.
Is our normal home, but has, like many more of these places, been shuttered since late March, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I believe the Letterform Archive have put a lot of work online already. So before you come by.
Yeah, like I said, they launched their online archive, which is basically just, like I said, all their work. So a lot of type specimens from the last 100 years, a lot of old posters, a lot of historic you know, I don't know, works from, you name it, Herman Zaff and Paul Barnes, and I'm blanking, you know, any famous designer from the last century. Paul Rand, they have a bunch of his work. They have the entire Emigre collection, and it's all on their online archive, so you can check it out. And once it opens back up, you can hopefully see it in person. It is honestly jaw-dropping cool. And I'm just going to reiterate what Cass said. San Francisco Center for the Book is a designer's paradise for sure. Yeah.
They are our regular home. Has been at least as long as I've been involved with Type Thursday. And it's a nice space. And it's a little. I rode by there on my bike the other day, and they're all shuttered up.
Oh, are they?
But yeah, they have a lot of cool art, a lot of letterpresses and bookbindery and all that sort of thing. So do hope they find some way to reopen soon.
Yeah.
They better do that because I know some places being kind of robbed.
Oh, really? Yeah. Maxwell's trying to show something on his phone.
Yeah, these are like the photos from the HMCT feed. Like these are like some posters that are in part of their archives.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah, like a lot of like posters like back in like 1930s and 1950s. And
dude, that's awesome. Wow. That's just their Instagram you're looking at there? Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's just their Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll post the link.
Yeah, please do. Super cool. Cool. Well, what do you say, Matheo? Should we keep it open or call it a night?
I think we're pretty much ready to hop off.
Yeah.
Myself here too. So thank you all so much. And Winston, thank you for being an awesome co-host. Kaz, thank you for being amazing dialogue lead for us tonight.
Yeah.
Rachel, thanks for having work. Laura, thanks for being here. One of our volunteers. Alexi joined in too. And all the other people who hung out, thank you all. I see you, Claudia over there, CJ, Roy, Maxwell, Dom. Thank you guys for hanging. It's been so fun.
I feel like they need more hand options in this reactions tab. You know, they just have applause and thumbs up. They need kind of like a meh. They need like a.
They totally do.
But I do think that you deserve a clap out in physical form.
Yeah, you do, Cass. Yeah. Yeah. Just on that note, they do need more of these Zoom hand options.
They really do. We have a full list of emojis. Why are they not?
I know.
Like Slack almost.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm cutting out.
All right. Well, thanks so much for hopping on, you guys. Look for an email out soon. And yeah, really appreciate you guys spending your Thursday night with us.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.